Hey guys, welcome back. In this tutorial series, we'll create a task countdown app using the UIKit framework. We will use an MVVM architecture for the project, core graphics for animations, and core data for storing the data. Let me show you what we'll create. So we start from the new task screen. It asks for task name, description, type, and the required time. Let's add all the required inputs and start the countdown. So this view has a countdown track that shows the progress and the remaining time along with the task details that we put. The countdown starts when you press the play button. The track animates and the time label updates accordingly. You can also pause, resume and rewind the countdown if need be. Alright, in this video we'll set up the project structure and the architecture. And we'll also add the UI elements for the new task view controller and initialize it. Let's start. First we'll open Xcode, create a new UIKit project and name it Task Countdown. Make sure that the interface is set to storyboard. Select core data and press next to create it. Set the preview device to iPhone 12 Pro and uncheck the landscape orientation. Let's set the project structure now. Select XC assets, launch screen, plist file and XC model ID and put them inside a new group called resources. We need to update the path for the plist file. Go to build settings and add resources to the path. Next, select the remaining files and put them inside a group called code. Select app and scene delegate and put them inside controllers. Select view controller and storyboard and put them inside another group called modules. Select both of them again and put them inside another group called main. We need two more groups inside code, models and services. Let's rearrange them a bit. Alright, two more groups to go. We need extensions and utils. Oh okay, since we'll be using custom fonts in the project, we'll need one more group. So let's go to resources and create another group called fonts. Okay now, so let's select the font from the desktop and put them inside the fonts group. Make sure that the create groups option is selected. You can find the fonts and the code snippets that I'm using in the description box below. Let's add the fonts to the plist file too, as we'll be using them programmatically. Let's add the extension file next. Create a new Swift file and name it color extensions. I'll use a snippet to add support for providing hexadecimal based color values. We need one more extension. Create another file and name it foundation extensions. Extend instruct and then add a function called append zeros. Let me finish it first and then we'll see what it does. It's a simple function that returns a string and appends a zero if it's a single digit number. Let's extend double and create a function that converts degrees into radians. We need it because core graphics takes radians as input. The formula is degree into pi by 180. Okay, two more files to go. Create a file name box inside controllers. There are a couple of ways to use MVVM. I prefer using a box class to bind the data. Let me write a code and then I'll explain. Alright, so we have a generic class name box which takes an argument of type t. This class has a variable name value which is of the same type. Here I've used the typeAlias keyword to give the closure a name. It also returns an argument of type t. Next we have declared a variable for the listener closure and it's also named listener. The initializer takes a value of type t and it initializes the class's variable. The bind function takes a closure as input and assigns it to the class's listener variable. You're essentially assigning a closure of the calling function to this class. We'll see what it does in the next part. The remove bind function sets the listener to nil. Now we only need to pass the new value with the help of the closure variable. Let's do that inside the didSet block. We'll call the listener and pass the value. Whenever the variable is updated, the new value is passed with the help of the listener block. Don't worry if it seems confusing, we'll see how it works later. Next, select the utils group and create a new Swift file in it. Name it constants. Let's declare it as a struct. We'll add in one static variable for now, and it will tell us whether the device has a notch or not. I'll quickly finish writing it and then I'll explain. Okay, so this function checks for the notch and returns a boolean based on that. First we check if the device is running iOS 11 or above. Then we filter the available windows by searching for a key window. A key window is a window that receives keyboard and other events, and only one such window is active at a time. Once we have the window, we just check its top safe area. If it's greater than or equal to 44, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. We'll need this value later. Okay, now the set of the project is complete. Let's create the required models for the task. The task model will need name, description, task type, and the time input. Let's create a new file under the models group and name it task. We'll start with task type. Create a struct named task type and add variables for symbol and type name. Let's create another struct for task. Add variables for name, description, seconds, task type, and timestamp. We only need seconds for our model and we'll convert hours and minutes into it. We'll store task creation date into timestamp. Let's create an enum to handle the different cases for the countdown. Add cases for suspended, running, and paused. We are leaving the services empty for now. We'll add the code data support and the other files in the next part. Add two more groups inside main, cells, and view models. Create a view model inside the view models group and name it task view model. Declare it as a class. I'll add some mark statements first. It makes it easier to find stuff as the code grows. Let's define some variables now. Add one for task. Add one for task types. I'll quickly add some entries into it. We'll use SF symbol for the image in the task types. Next, create a variable for selected index. It will hold the selected task type. Add a didSet property observer here and we'll set the value of the index later. Now we'll create three box variables: hours, minutes, and seconds. Since we have provided 0 in the initializer, the box class assumes the type to be an int. Add an initializer and initialize the task variable. We have used box variables for hour, minutes, and seconds because there are some computations involved, and we'll update the UI based on that. Now you'll see that I have declared all the variables as private, and that's because you should avoid exposing variables of a view model to a view controller directly. To make sure that you always adhere to it, declare the variables inside your view model private. With this, it will throw an error if you try to use them directly. Next, let's add some functions for updating the variables of the task, and it will be exposed to the view controllers. Add a function named setSelectedIndex, and it will update the value of the selected index variable. Next, let's also create a function to set task name and task description. Both of them will have the same input parameter as string. Now let's create some getter functions. Let's start with getSelectedIndex. It will return the value of the selected index. Next, let's add one to fetch the task. and one to fetch the task types. Alright, now let's complete the date set of our selected index. We'll fetch the task types and assign the one with the selected index to the task. That's it for now. We'll add functions for computing the hours, minutes and seconds when the UI is ready. Let's head over to the view controller now. We'll first change its name to main view controller. Make sure that the view controller in the storyboard is assigned to the correct class. We'll leave the main view controller empty for now and we'll cover it in the next video. Add a new view controller and name it new task view controller. Let's declare the class for the same. We'll add some mark statements here. Next we'll override the viewDidLoad function. Okay, let's head back to the storyboard and add a new view controller. Let's set the class for this view controller. Go to class and add new task view controller. And while we are at it, let's also set this to be the initial view controller. Okay, let's first change the background color of the view. Next we'll add an UI label. Open the object library and drag the label into the view. Rename it to new task. Set the color to black. Set the font. And let's add the constraints. Add a top constraint of 20 and a leading constraint of 24. Add a button next. Remove the text. Change the text color and set the image to multiply. Set the scale to large. We'll change the weight to semi-bold and set the configuration to point size. Change the weight to medium. Set the tint to black and add the constraints. Add a trailing constraint of 24 and set the width and height to 48. Next we'll center the button vertically with respect to the label. To do that, select the button while holding Ctrl and drag it to the label and select center vertically. Add a UI view next. Change the background color. And add the constraints, top to 32, leading and trailing to 24, and a height of 1.4. We'll add two text fields inside it, one for name and one for description. Let's start with the name text field. Let's change the color and the font. And add the placeholder as task name. Next we'll set the border style. Uncheck adjust to fit. And set the tint to black. Set top constraint to 14, leading and trailing constraint to 12, and height to 32. Let's clone this text field for the description. Select the view, hold option and then drag it below. Set the top, leading and trailing constraints to 12. We don't need to provide the height constraint again. Let's change the name of the placeholder to task description and we are done. Alright, let's see what the yellow warning is. Okay, let's go with fixed leading and resizing trailing constraints. We'll add a collection view next. Add a top constraint of 28, leading constraint of 24, set trailing to 0 and height to 72. Remove the collection view cell. Set the scroll direction to horizontal. Remove the indicators. Set the background to clear. And the tint to black. Set the minimum spacing for lines to 42. The min spacing for lines determines the spacing between the columns when the scroll direction is set to horizontal. Next, set the estimate size to none. Use a horizontal stack for adding the hours, minutes and seconds. Let's add the stack. Set the top constraint to 60, leading and trailing to 24 and height to 114. Set the distribution to fill equally, spacing to -42 and background color to clear. Add a UI view inside it. Set its color to clear and we'll put the text field and the label in it. Let's add the text field first. Center it horizontally and vertically with respect to the view and set the width to 65. Set the color and the font next. Remove the background color and set the border style. Set the keyboard type to number pad. Let's set the text to 00 for now so that it's easier for us to create the UI. We'll later replace it by the placeholder. Set the alignment to center and remove the edges to fit. Since the text is getting clipped, let's change the width constraint to greater than equal to 65. Let's add a label next. Change the foreground color to black. Set the text to R and the font to Montserrat. Set the opacity to 0.45. Add the constraint to center it horizontally and add a top constraint of 2. Let's clone this view and create 2 more copies of it for minutes and seconds. Select the view while holding Option, drag it below and drop it. Let's do it one more time. And we'll change the labels to minute and second. Let's add a button now to start the task countdown. Change the name to start. Set the font. And we'll set the background and the tint color. Let's center it horizontally. Add a bottom constraint. And add a width and height. Alright, so the UI is almost ready. Let's add the outlets to the new task view controller now. If you're new to storyboards, then this is what you do. Hold Option and select the view controller. Now we select the UI component, hold Ctrl and drag it to the view controller. We need to provide a name for the outlet. The process is same for the rest of the UI components. Let me quickly add it. Now we need to add an action for the start and the close button. Select the button and hold Ctrl again and drag it to the view controller. This time make sure that it is an action and not an outlet. Add a name for it and press enter. Do the same process for the close button. Alright, now we'll create a custom collection view cell for the task type. Select the cells group and press Command plus N. Select Coca Touch class and change the name of the subclass to collection view cell. Set the name. Make sure that you select the option to create the XIB file and press next. Select the XIB file and we'll add the UI for the task type here. Change the frame to 120 by 120. Note that changing the frame here doesn't affect how the cell will look inside the collection view. This is just to make it easier for us to add the UI elements. We'll provide the size for the cell inside the collection view delegate. Let's add the UI elements now. Add a UI view to the collection view. Set the top, leading, trailing and bottom constraint to 0. Set the background color to clear Add another UI view. It will serve as a container for the image. Set the top constraint to 0 and center it horizontally. We'll add two new types of constraints. The first one is equal heights. Select the inner view while holding Ctrl. Drag it to the parent view and select equal heights. This constraint will make sure that the inner view has the same height as that of the outer view. Change the multiplier to 0.65. With this change, now the inner view will occupy 65% height of the cell. We need to set the constraints for width next. Setting an equal width isn't the best idea if you're trying to maintain the aspect ratio, and we can actually provide a new type of constraint for that. It's the aspect ratio constraint. Select the view by holding Ctrl and drag it to the right, then click on the aspect ratio. Currently it's set to 40:13, let's set it to 1:1. Now the width will always have the same value as that of the height. If we change the ratio to 2:1, the width will be twice as big as the height. Let's change it back. Cool, let's add an image inside it. Center it horizontally and vertically. Set the image to game controller and change the configuration to point size. Next, set the tint color to black. Set the background color of the view to clear. Now we'll add a label for the type name. Let's name it gaming. Set the text color in the font. Center it horizontally and add a bottom constraint of 0. Alright, it's time to connect the outlets. Hold Option and open the Swift file for the cell. Let me add the mark statements first. Add outlets for image container view, image view, and task name. Override the class function name description and return the name of the cell. We'll use this inside the view controller. Let's add the code for making the image view container circular. Add a dispatch.main.async inside the awake from nib. We'll change the corner radius of the image container view and divide its width or height by 2. It will make it circular. It doesn't matter whether you provide height or width. Next we'll create a function called setupCell and we'll provide the data for the cell here. Let's add an input parameter for task type and another parameter named isSelected to know if it's the selected cell. Now we'll use an if condition to check if the cell is selected or not. Let's set the text for the type above it. Now we'll add the code for changing the color if the view is selected. We'll change the background color of the image container view. Okay, I've named it task name by mistake. Let's change it to type name. Change the color of the type name, the tint color of the symbol, and let's also change the size and the weight of the symbol. Use the UI image initializer and pass the symbol name. We'll use UI image.symbol configuration to provide size and weight. Let's copy these lines of codes and put it in the else condition. We'll change the background color back to clear, text and tint color to black. And let's also revert the size and the weight of the symbol back. So here's what we'll do. We'll copy the 3 lines and put them in a separate function called reset. Call reset in the else condition. We'll override a function called prepare for use. We'll call the reset function here and set the image to nil. Since these cells are reused in a table or a collection view, it's better to do some cleanup before they're actually used again. Alright, we are done here. Let's move on to the view controller. Add a variable to hold an instance of the task view model. Add an exclamation to force unwrapped. We'll initialize it in the view did load. Let's run the app and see how it looks currently. Okay, so the basic UI elements are looking fine. We still have to add a label for task type. Let's initialize and provide the data to the collection view before that. Assign the collection view's delegate and data source to the view controller using self. We also need to register the custom collection view cell before we can actually use it. We'll use the register function for that. First, create a UI nib and pass the name of the cell, bundle to main. Next, we also need to provide a reuse identifier for the cell, and for this we'll again use the description function. It will throw an error because we are not conforming to the delegates. Let's create an extension for the view controller, and here we'll conform to the delegate flow layout and the data source protocols. To make the collection view work well, we'll have to implement at least 4 functions here. Let's start by adding number of items in cell. We'll fetch the task types from the task view model and return the count. We'll implement the size for item at next. The values returned by this function decides the size of the cells. Set columns to 3.75. You'll see why soon. Next we'll fetch the width of the collection view. Then we'll get hold of the flow layout of the collection view. And now we can compute the adjusted width. What we'll do is that we'll subtract the width by the minimum line spacing multiplied by columns -1. Alright, so we have 3.75 set as the columns because we want to show 3 collection views in the device's width and the 4th one partially. We are doing -1 because 4 columns will have 3 line spacing. Let's return the CZ size now. We'll divide the adjusted width by the number of columns and we'll return the height as is. Let's write the function for cell for row at now. This function is responsible for dequeuing the cells. We'll call the collection views dequeue function and pass the identifier with the help of the description function. And we'll forcecast this cell to task type collection view cell. Let's call the setup cell function where we'll pass the task type from the view model. For each selected, we'll just fetch the selected index and we'll compare it with the index path.item. And we finish this function by returning the cell. Let's run the app and see if the cells are being rendered now. Great, it's looking well and the basic functionality is working. Now we'll write a function for selecting the task type. We'll implement the didSelect cell for row add. And here we'll call the setSelectedIndex function which will declare in the task view model. And we'll pass indexPath.item here. Okay, so the collection view is ready now. Let's add the task type label in the storyboard. First we'll select the collection view and remove the drop constraint. Then we'll shift the collection view downwards by incrementing the y-axis. And then we'll add a label above it. Set the text color. Rename it. Set the font. And then we'll add a top constraint of 40 and a leading and trailing of 24. Now we'll add a top constraint to the collection view again. Set it to 28. Let's run the app and see how it looks. Alright, so far so good. So that's it for part 1 guys. I hope you liked it. We'll customize this view and create the countdown view controller in part 2. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.